Today, we're talking a bit about course building. If you haven't already watched the Getting Started video on course building, that's gonna be the best place for some foundational course building concepts. What we're talking about today is the structuring, and some different rules we can put in place in our courses. To get started, we're gonna open up one of the courses we're working on, and for this example, I'm going to show you a course I already created, and explain what's going on now. In my example, I have set up 3 sections inside my course. The first section will be visible to all users, and has some learning exercises, followed by a quiz. For users that fail the quiz, I want to send them to a section containing some additional learning materials, before sending them to the final section. However, for users who are able to pass that first quiz, they don't need to take those extra learning exercises, and I want to just send them directly to the final section. Unlike the Getting Started video, this time, we'll be going in through the Page Manager. I'm gonna show you the finished project by swapping over to the course tree view, and then expanding all items. So here, we can see I've got 3 sections on my course materials page, but 2 of these have a lock icon over the top. What this means is, these sections have special requirements in order to be accessed, unlike the unlocked sections, which are always in view to the user. So let's swap over to the user side for a bit, and show you what this looks like. So while there are 3 sections on this page, only one of them is accessible to the user from the get-go. What I have going on for this page is this. Depending on the user's success or failure in this graded quiz, different sections and therefore different content will appear to them. So let's swap back to the admin view again, and see how it's all set up. When I click the gear icon on one of these lock sections, it takes me to an area where I can set and adjust the visibility requirements for this section. When I go to add a new requirement, I am presented with a large swath of options, from calendar data, to course data, to user data, to what I've got going on, which is trigger data. A common trend for admins is to create chapters inside their course, and each chapter is gated by certain progress thresholds the user needs to accomplish. This is what I would consider a safe and easy to implement gated requirement. Another use case is to make sections only accessible to specific companies. This I consider to be an unsafe, gated requirement, as it complicates course completion as not every user will be able to access the items inside that section. So what I've got going on is course trigger data. This may seem a little bit intimidating, as we're defining 2 items instead of just the one. But if we do it correctly, it can be the safest approach to course building. I'm using a tracking variable, named final access, and this section is only showing if that is set to failed. If we check out the other section, or once again checking for the value of final access, but this time we're displaying the section if it is set to ready. Before I show how that variable is being set, let's swap back to the tree view, and go over how to get the content into these sections. Next to the section we want to add content, we'll click the edit icon. And if you've already gone through the Getting Started video, you should already be back in familiar territory from here. We can drag and drop content into the right column, and send it over into the course by adding it to the left column. Repeat with the appropriate content for each of your sections. Now, let's go over how we're setting up that final access variable. Use the breadcrumbs to jump back to your course's dashboard, and select the automation event triggers. I've got 2 triggers set up already, but to be thorough, we're gonna go through the motions, and add a new automation, give it a name. For this one, we'll set up a name of user failed, meaning user failed the quiz. Next to the or fails option, in the drop-down, select the graded quiz that is always accessible in section 1. Now we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, and locate the Manage User section, and we're going to set users, course variable, final access, equals, failed. And then we would submit our automation. We would replicate the same process in the opposite direction. Meaning, for any user that passes, set the same variable to ready, instead of failed. Now, the last thing I want to do is address the exclusive content that only the failed users can access. Since this section is only accessible to users who have failed that graded quiz, that is going to effectively prohibit other users from ever reaching course completion. Using the breadcrumbs, I'm going to return to the course dashboard again. And this time I'm going to the progress and score weights. Under the progress settings, we're adjusting the weights of the exclusive content to a weight of 0. This means these items will not count towards course completion in a technical reporting sense, but are still required of the failing users in a progression sense. So that should wrap up this video. There's still a lot of other tools we can use when it comes to course building, but getting down the basics of sections and viewing requirements is a major tool towards creating more sophisticated courses.